If you are one of those that was enraged in the general election last year at the rampant, blatant bias of the BBC, but are now coming to the defense of the BBC now that Boris Johnson is reviewing its structure and finance, you are a mug. The BBC is based on a mid-20th century style financial package which cannot possibly be allowed to survive into the middle of the 21st. £4 billion in licence fees are extorted ruthlessly by the British Broadcasting Corporation, a state broadcaster, by a compulsory poll tax paid on pain of imprisonment, literally going to jail if you don't pay it. The biggest number of women convicted of criminal offences in Britain in 2019 were convicted of licence fee offences. They've got another £1 billion of income on top of that, either directly from the government or from the sales of products made by virtue of that public expenditure in the first place. So that's £5 billion a year, all coming from a compulsory poll tax, which takes no account of your ability to pay. And it's that kind of extraordinarily lavish funding which accounts for the Cheshire grin of Gary Lineker, who gets £1.75 million a year of your money to present Match of the Day, and he doesn't even do that every week. And he does many other lucrative things too. It also pays for the sneering smuttiness of Graham Norton and a dozen, 20, 40 other ridiculously highly paid so-called celebrities who could never earn anything like that in the private sector. And it's that kind of expenditure, that scale of expenditure, which crushes new talent, crushes new innovative television makers of programs, because the monopoly of the BBC is the deadly upas tree under which nothing else can grow. As a matter of fact, the BBC are doing things with your money that there is absolutely no need at all for a state broadcaster to do. Why do we need a state broadcaster to make game shows or run pop record radio stations? These are things that should be left to the marketplace, where they can be done much more efficiently, much more creatively, and much more cheaply to the customer. Many, many millions of people in Britain, and I'm one of them, are already paying subscriptions to Netflix, to Amazon, to Manchester United TV, to Celtic TV, to BT Sports, and we have to pay all that money, billions of pounds, to a state broadcaster. And if we don't, we go to jail. How can that possibly be a model that survives in the 21st century, where people at the touch of a button can pick and choose what they actually want to watch and therefore what they actually want to pay for? As a state broadcaster, it is the guardian of the prevailing orthodoxy. So the political orthodoxy of the day is ruthlessly policed and patrolled by the BBC. No one with a contrary point of view would survive 5 minutes as a presenter on any level in the BBC. And if they're outside of the prevailing orthodoxy, pretty quickly they won't even be picked to be interviewed or to appear on a panel on Question Time. Trust me on that. I know. It was a good turn, but it went on too long. It became too big, too bloated, too corrupt, and too arrogant. In this day and age, the BBC will have to take its place in competition with all other creators of content on a level playing field, and will have to compete fairly. There are many ways that people can pay for the things that the BBC, which originally was set up to do, we can still have it. If we want to pay for David Attenborough, or you want to pay Gary Lineker his $1.7 million just to see him on Match of the Day. As a matter of fact, other football programs are available, and even better. If you want BBC programs, you've only got to scroll down on your remote control and you can pay for them. The BBC has no place in most of the activities that it is currently conducting. Once upon a time, the BBC was said to be in possession of Reithian values, whatever that means. Not even sure what it meant at the time. Certainly doesn't apply now. It's time to lay a wreath on the Reithian values of the BBC.